More than 15,000 people are expected to come to Riot Fest over the weekend, and if it goes well, some may wonder why it wasn't the first choice. Because a trial would have been much more expensive, and it appears to be the result of a calamity of misconduct at all levels. And Jim, about 45 minutes of direct rain was enough to shut down streets and flood this neighborhood. She says that if that bear didn't leave when it did, she wouldn't have had the strength to escape a second time. This is the garage. On the other side, this is the size of that door that was taken down. And inside, the damage was pretty significant as well. And so it is moving south, and the temperature they are very cold, but as you can see, the snow, it's around us. And even though it's just a soft opening, this area feels like it's been open for a couple of weeks. The official grand opening, though, is tomorrow at 10 in the morning. The bill is expected to be introduced early next year and could be coupled with another bill giving greater access to college tuition for Native Americans. She says she'll use those to redecorate once she rebuilds.
Reporter Stan Bush of KCNC.
And now to a developing story out of Jefferson County. More schools shut down for the day after the majority of teachers at 2 high schools called in sick. Well, now the district superintendent says some staff members should be prepared to suffer the consequences if these sick-outs continue. Stan Bush following this story for us tonight live from Jefferson High, one of those schools impacted. And Stan, the district plans to discipline teachers, saying the students are now suffering from this.
And Karen, the school district says if teachers can't prove that they were actually sick today, they will lose their pay for this day. Teachers began walking off the job a week ago, and at this point, there is no sign that those protests are going to stop. Some students were confused to find their schools shut down after teachers decided overnight to not show up. Tammy Peters says tensions have been growing in Jefferson County since the school board became more conservative a year ago. It boiled over with a proposal that Peters says would have whitewashed civil disobedience from the history books.
It disrespects the teachers who teach advanced placement U.S. history. That somehow we're trying to indoctrinate students into some way of thinking when what we're trying to get them to do is critically think.
Peters spent the day at home grading papers. The English teacher says resentment goes beyond changes to the textbooks, saying the board has created a culture of disrespect for its teachers. Today, Jefferson County's superintendent says he's seen enough classrooms shut down.
We're going to do everything that we can to work with teachers, but the place that we draw the line is where they start taking things away from kids.
Teachers and the school board are miles apart, and the discontent shows no signs of stopping. School board president Ken Witt made no promises to address teachers' concerns, but promised teachers would lose money.
We guarantee that if teachers are not in their classrooms and they're not legitimately sick and they don't have evidence of being sick, that they will be docked their pay.
If I lose a day's pay today, it's an investment that I'm making in my own children's future as well as the future of all of my students. And it's a price that we're willing to take.
The school board will meet this Thursday, and there's rising pressure for both sides to resolve their issues. Attendance over the next 2 weeks will determine how much state funding Jefferson County gets. Live tonight in Edgewater, Stan Bush, CBS 4 News.
The tornado debris is spread out for miles and miles. Stan Bush of our Denver station, that would be KCNC, was on the ground in Oklahoma and spoke with first responders. Stan, good morning to you.
Overnight, rescue crews sifted through entire neighborhoods looking for survivors.
It's been tough. I mean, this is our homeland, our state, and you know, this is a whole town wiped off the face of the map.
Ken Lacey is a Navy senior chief. He says the tornado's path of destruction is as bad as a theater of war.
Looks like Baghdad.
Hello! We're first responders. Does anybody need help?
Volunteers able to clear roadblocks are also looking for anyone left in the rubble. Bridget Wallace is a nurse in Moore, Oklahoma. She came to the disaster zone as soon as she knew her children were safe.
I'm just fortunate that I have mine because there are a lot of people that don't tonight.
These searchers haven't found anyone left in the overwhelming debris.
We found a lot of animals, but it's really dark and lights can only do so much good.
Many of these homeowners are now returning to this area for the first time since the tornado came through. And now that it's light, a new assessment of the damage is likely to come soon. Gail, Charlie.
Tonight, a one-of-a-kind study you will see only on CBS 4. Colorado researchers venture into bear dens to understand why bears and people are crossing paths so much more often. We asked to see that research up close, and our Stan Bush shows us why the animals' hunt for food is becoming increasingly risky.
In the mountains outside Durango,
you could get it all the way under, huh?
Heather Johnson and her team go to extreme lengths to find bears.
So we're going to a den that's just over in the draw.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife is tracking 40 bears right into bear dens.
Should we prep a dart or not?
They fill syringes and dart guns with tranquilizers.
And we'll get her jabbed and put to sleep as quick as I can.
They whisper to keep the bears from waking up too quickly.
There's anticipation for sure.
To get there, Johnson has to squeeze into a cave opening not much wider than a basketball.
104 for heart rate.
Inside, she performs what amounts to a routine physical,
And neck is 59.
checking the bear's temperature, weight, and more.
We get a hair sample, both because we get really good follicles, so we can get DNA that way. We can also use the hair to look at generally what they've been eating.
Researchers are doing this because bear confrontations are becoming a national problem. Colorado Parks and Wildlife says of the 41 states that have black bears, 30 report a rise in bear-human conflicts.
What we don't know is whether those conflicts are increasing because bears are changing their behavior, or whether the bear population is increasing. This is the fattest bear we felt all winter.
They're finding just how fragile the bear population is, affected by everyday changes in the environment. Last year's drought conditions and low food left researchers finding some of the thinnest bears they have ever seen. And now they wonder if those conditions have led to fewer cubs being born this year.
And last year, looking at bears that we expected to have cubs, about 70% of them did. So far, this year we're looking more like 15 to 20%. We would have thought that this bear, if any of them would have cubs given her size.
Researchers don't know if the lower number of cubs found is directly tied to the drought.
This is an older bear.
They also wonder what effect human food is playing on the bear population.
131 for Chesker.
32 of their 40 bears spent most of last summer getting fat eating in town.
Next, we're gonna weigh her.
233.
233.
Wow.
She put on over 100 extra pounds.
Johnson hopes these close encounters lead to concrete answers. The 5-year study should show how bears survive in the worst conditions, and this summer could be the driest in over a decade. In Durango, Stan Bush, CBS 4 News.